Hello everyone, guys, I'm Utkarsh and I welcome you all to this session on managing list, dictionaries and sets in Python. So guys, let's have a look at the agenda for this session. So far previously we have discussed data types, operators, variables, functions, working with files and user inputs. Now in this session we shall be discussing list and list properties, and we are also going to discuss list functions. So guys, I'm switching to the Jupyter screen. So guys, let's understand lists in the first place. Now, so far we have dealt with data types such as integer, float, boolean, let's say string, none type. Now, these data types only allow to store a single value in a variable. Now, if we wish to store more than one values in a variable, this is where list, tuples, sets and dictionary come into picture. So when we talk about list, right? List is an ordered collection of elements where we can have elements of same or different data types. All these elements will be comma separated and they'll be let's say written in a square bracket. So let's understand the list properties. List is ordered, as in lists maintain the order of elements, meaning the position of each element is preserved. Alright, then list is mutable. Mutable means we can change the element at a given index, we can add new elements, we can delete existing elements, we can modify the existing elements as well. So mutable implies lists are changeable, allowing modifications after creation, such as adding, removing or even modifying elements. Lists are heterogeneous in nature, as in we can store elements of different data types including integers, string and even other list. Now list do allow iterations, so list can be iterated over using loops, for loops or even while loops, enabling access to each element sequentially. Now list is indexable because it is ordered, so we can apply indexing and slicing. So elements in a list can be accessed using their index, starting from 0 for the first element and so on. So that is for the left to right direction. In the right to left direction, it will be from -1 towards left. Now list, we can proceed with nested list, as in list can be nested within one another. We can store one list inside another list and another list inside the inner list as well, and so on. So this way we are creating basically a complex data structures, but still list facilitates this kind of data structure. Now lists are dynamic in nature, that is list can grow and shrink dynamically depending upon the program structure that we have created. So thus making it more accommodable to changes in size during the program execution, and list does allow duplicate elements. The same element can have multiple occurrences in the same list. So guys, having understood the properties of the list, let's understand how to create an empty list, right? So we can create an empty list using two different approaches. For example, I'm creating two variables. So this is one approach of creating an empty list. The other approach is to use a square bracket. As I just mentioned, list elements are stored in square brackets and the elements are comma separated. So if I print W1 and if I write type of W1, and likewise if I print W2 and type of W2, so what am I getting? An empty list whose data type is list. Alright, so these are the two approaches to create an empty list. Now let's understand the example of empty list or tuple. So currently we are just considering a list, right? Okay. Now over here I do have a list. The name of the list is list1. What are the elements that I'm having? I'm having 5, 7, 10, Python function 4.5, 7.8 and true. Now if I were to print this list, I can simply print it like this. And अगर हम इसका data type check करें, so इसका data type यहाँ पे क्या आ रहा है? As you can see, this is a list. Now I can also check the length of the list. How many elements are present in the list? There are a total of 8 elements. All these elements will be comma separated and they are stored in round brackets. So we are having this kind of a structure, comma separated, let's say elements in square brackets. Alright, this is what we have, comma separated elements in square brackets. This is how we define a list. Now let's understand iteration in list. Now in the same list, I can proceed with two different approaches of iteration. We can proceed with, let's say, element wise iteration and even index wise iteration. I'll show you. So this is our list, right? So if I were to proceed element wise iteration, I can simply write for I in list1 and then I can print I, and let's say to display it horizontally, over here I'm writing end as empty space. So now I get to see all the elements with space in between, starting from 5, 7, 10 all the way up to true. Now if I were to go for, let's say, index wise iteration, then what would be the approach? For index wise iteration, I would proceed like this. For I in range length of list 1, and then I can print I would be the index and list of I would be the element at the index I. So just have a look, this is list 1. So at index 0 we have 5, at index 1 we have 7, at index 2 10, at index 3 we have Python, at index 4 we have function, at index 5 we have 4.5, at index 6 we have 7.8, and at index 7 we have true. So guys, these are the elements, these are the comma separated elements that we have. So these are two different ways to iterate over a list. However, we can also iterate in list using while loop. Now let's understand indexing and slicing in list. So considering the same list, if I were to display the elements present at index 2, so at index 2 we have 5, at index 4 we have function, at index -5 we have, see, this is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. We have the element Python. At index -2 the element that we have is 7.8. Now this part is the indexing, this is the indexing part, and this is the slicing part. Slicing simply means extracting part of the, let's say, iterable. The current iterable that we are dealing with is list. So if I'm writing 2:5, 2:5 means starting from index 2 all the way up to index 4, so it would be 2 3 4. So how does slicing work? Start is 2, end is 5, and the step size is +1. All right, so in ascending order, 2 to 5 is ascending order, right? Iteration proceeds till end -1, or not iteration, I would say slicing proceeds till end -1. So end is 5, so the elements extracted are up to index 4 in left to right direction. All right, in let's say ascending order, or let's say in left to right direction. But if it were from the right to left direction, then the order would change. This would be end +1. Now :4 means we are starting from 0. The default start value is 0. All right, the end value is 4, and the step size by default is, the step size is by default +1. So again this would be from 0 to 3. 0 to 3 is, okay, I'll print the elements over here just to have some clarity. 0 1 2 3. All right, so I'll get 5 7 10 and Python. In the last example, this is starting from -3. All right, so starting from -3, again this is in left to right direction. This is -3, so left to right, -3 -4 -5, it will go all the way up to end. When end is not defined, the iteration proceeds till the extreme end, right? And the step size is +1. Now what if I wish to go from right to left? I wish to go from -2 all the way up to plus let's say 2, -1 all the way up to +2, and with a step size of let's say -2. What does this imply? यहाँ पे हमारी start value क्या है? The start value that we have is -1, the end value is 2, and the step size is -1. So हमें start करना है -1 से, and all the way we have to go till the index 2. This is 2, but because this is in right to left direction, so it will proceed till end +1 in descending order. All right, so slicing proceeds till end +1 in descending order, as in from the right to left direction. This is what we have to be mindful about. So just have a look, I'm getting true, then step size is 2, so 4.5, and then Python. Python is the last element that I can fetch. In the ascending order, if you want to see the impact of step size, so maybe I can write 2 all the way up to 7 with a step size of 2. So start is 2, end is 7, and the step size is 2. So this is 2, this is 7, and the step size is 2. All right, so if I were to print this, so see, at index 2 we have 10, then after 10 step is 2, so skipping 1 and 2, then we get function, and then we are getting 7.8 because the maximum value is 7. All right, so end -1, which is 6. So 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. So the last element that I could have fetched was 7.8, and currently I'm also fetching 7.8. So guys, this is how we can work with slicing in lists. The same logic even applies to tuples as well. Now list is mutable, it implying that it can be changed. Tuple on the other hand is immutable. So if I'm having these this list, now this is a list of all the AI, let's say chatbots that we have these days. We have Grok, we have ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Qwen, Gemini, and even Copilot, right? So I'm printing this. What is the element at index 3? At index 3, the element present is Qwen. Now, if I wish to change it, so I'm writing S13 is equal to Kimi. So I'm simply changing the element present at index 3. And as we can see, this element has been changed. Now, moving forward, we are going to understand the different list functions. So let's focus on the different list functions that we have. The first couple of functions that we'll be looking into is count and index. Count simply generates the count of each element, and index fetches the index of the first element encountered in the left to right direction. So in this list, how many times is 30 appearing? So if we count, 30 is appearing 4 times. All right, this is the first occurrence, then the second occurrence, third occurrence, and the fourth occurrence, right? So count of 30 is 4. Count of 45, 45 is only occurring once. Count of 75, 75 has 0 occurrence, so its count is 0. Alright, and 45 the count is 1. For 30 the count is 4. Then what about 22? Do I see 22 over here? Yes, 22 is over here, so its count is 1. Now, index returns the index of the element first occurrence. So where is the first occurrence of 50? First occurrence of 50 is appearing at index 7. Do I get 28? So over here 28 is present at index 9, right? Now index returns error if the element is not present. So if I were to pass, let's say maybe 32, so I'll get error. Why? Because this element is not present. See, over here I'm getting 32 is not in the list. So guys, this is how the count and the index function works. Now moving forward, let's understand the most easiest function when it comes to list, which is clear. Clear simply empties the list. It empties the entire list irrespective of the data type of elements that we have. Over here I've defined a list of strings. Now if I were to let's say clear this list entirely, I want to have an empty list for the list S. So first I'm printing S, and then I'm simply clearing it using the clear function, and then again I'm printing S. So now the list has been cleared. So because the list has been cleared, it again reflects that list is mutable. The next, we have a very interesting function in list that is referred to as pop. Pop simply removes the list element based on index. If no index is passed, the last element, that is from the right, is removed. Alright, so it simply returns error if index is out of range. And it removes only one element at a time. It cannot remove multiple elements, right? So over here I'm having the list R. Then next I'm printing R. So what do I get? I'm getting this list. Now if I write r.pop3, so what is the element present at index 3? This is 0, 1, 2, 3. The element present is 12. So as you can see over here we do have 12, but over here 12 has been removed because after let's say popping 3 I'm printing R. इसके बाद हमने दोबारा let's say I'm writing r.pop and this time I've printed it. So जो भी element remove होगा that will be displayed as well. So what is the last element? The last element from the right is 47. So as we can see 47 is removed. Now if I write r.pop -2, so the last element obtained here is 21. So 21 would be removed. Alright, clearly हम यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं 21 is removed. What if I pass an index which is let's say out of range? So I'll get error. Why are we getting error? Because 7 is an out of range index. Index error, pop index out of range. So guys, this is how the pop function works. Next we have remove. So remove, let's say, simply removes the element from the list, just like what pop does, but instead of considering the index, it is considering the element that is passed as an argument, right? So again, this also removes one element at a time. So if you observe over here, this is the list. I want to remove 78. So this 78 will be removed. All right. Please see over here 78 is removed. Next I wish to remove 34. So 34 is removed. Right, this is the first occurrence. Over here I can write maybe first occurrence of 78 is removed. Now 34 is appearing multiple times, right? So if you observe carefully, only the first occurrence is removed. First occurrence of 34 is here, it is getting removed. Next again, if I remove 34, the second occurrence that I have over here, even this is removed, right? So this is how I can remove elements. So this is occurrence, right? Next, let's understand the next function, which is insert. So insert, as the name sounds, is used to insert an element at a specified index where the index and the elements are function arguments. So it inserts the element at a specified index. Let's observe the example. Over here I'm having a list, and the list is, let's say, 15, 20, 15, 70, 20 and 25. Now in this list I want to, let's say, insert SQL at index 1. So at index 1 the previous element was 17. So let me write the comment. Let's say SQL will be inserted at index 1. Please observe. So 17 and all the elements towards the right of 17 have been pushed one index towards right, and SQL has been inserted over here. Right? SQL is inserted over here. Next, if I just have a look over here, so w.insert 3xl. So in this list, in the list obtained after the first insertion, what is the element at index 3? This is 0, 1, 2, 3. So at index 3 we have 20. So 20 and 25 will be pushed one index towards right. So xl, let's say, will be inserted at index 3. So this is index 3. Now if I'm writing minus 200, so when we talk about minus 2, right, what is the element at minus 2? At index minus 2 we have 20. Now it is again going to follow the same logic, but because it will be inserted at minus 2, so if these two elements are shifted towards right, so the element inserted at minus 2 would actually be at index minus 3. Alright, so ये जो insert होगा आपका, this will be inserted at index minus 3 and not minus 2. Why? What is the reason? Because दो elements right shift हुए हैं, right, इसको adjust करने के लिए. So now the let's say index of the new element inserted would be minus 3. So आप यहाँ पे देखो 100 is inserted at index minus 3. Likewise, if I pass an element which is out of range either on the left or on the right side, so it will be inserted at extreme left. Extreme left means the first element from the left. Alright, so this is how the insert function works. The next function that we have is sort, and as the name sounds, it is used to sort the elements in either ascending or descending order. So if this is the list of elements that I have, now I want to sort this, so w.sort, it basically sorts in ascending order. And if I want to sort it in descending order, observe, this is how it has been sorted in the ascending order. And in the descending order, I can write like this. So I have to pass reverse is equal to true. By default, reverse is false. Alright, reverse is false by default. Next, we can also sort strings, and string sorting is based on the ASCII code. ASCII stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So we just need to be mindful of the fact that capital A to Z has an ASCII code of 65 to 90 and lowercase a to Z has an ASCII code of 97 to 122. So we have two functions, we have CHR and ORD functions. What they do, CHR returns character for a given ASCII code and ORD function returns ASCII code for a given character. So over here, if I print character 65 and then I'm printing character 90. So as I just mentioned, at 65 we have character A, at 90 we have character Z. At 97 we have lowercase a, at 122 we have uppercase lowercase z. And on the contrary, if I use the ORD function returns, it returns, let's say, the ASCII number for a given character. So lowercase b would be 98 and uppercase y would be 89. Alright. Now based on the same logic, we can sort even strings. So in alphabetical order, capital, let's say, alphabets would come first because they have lower ASCII code. So if I sort it in ascending order, as you can see, we have strings with a mixture of, let's say, I would say uppercase and lowercase characters, right? So this is what I'm getting. This is what we have. We have function, we have slicing, indexing, integer, string, and welcome. And then if I were to sort it in reverse order, then over here I'm getting welcome, string, integer, indexing, slicing, and function. Alright, so this is in descending order based on the ASCII code of the first character. If the first character matches, then the second character is checked. If the second matches, then the third, and so on. Next, we have the most important function of list, which is referred to as append. So append is simply used to add the element to the end of the list, and we can add at the end of the list in the right end, right? Now we can add any data type when it comes to append. So in the list, I'm adding SQL. SQL is a string. So as we can see, SQL is added at the end. Then I'm adding 4.5. So after SQL, 4.5 is inserted. After 4.5, false is inserted. After false, 50 is inserted, and after 50, none is inserted, right? So as we can see, these elements are added in the list one after another and at the right end. Now we do have the option or the liberty to even add, let's say, more advanced data types such as list, tuple, set, and even dictionary. Now this is a pre-existing list. On top of this list, I wish to add another list containing 25 and 35. So see, the list has been appended in the list towards the right end as it is. Next, I wish to add 14, 16, and 18, which is a tuple, comma separated elements in round brackets, and then 14, 16, and 18 has been added. Next, I'm adding a set where we have comma separated elements in curly bracket, even sets is added, the set is added. Then I have, let's say, comma separated key value pairs in curly brackets, which is referred to as a dictionary. So even a dictionary is added in the list as it is. So append function can add any data type to the list. All right, and we have seen the examples. Now we have a very similar function, but similar yet slightly different function, that is extend. So extend simply adds an element to the end of the list from inside the iterator. Means the element that has to be added in the extend function that we wish to add to the list, it has to be an iterable. Otherwise, we won't be able to add an element to the list using extend. So only iterators can be used with extend function, right? So just have a look. I have a list 10, 20. Can I add 50? No. Why? Because what is the reason? 50 is not an iterator or not an iterable. So what are iterable data types? Data types on which iteration is possible are referred to as iterators or iterables. So we can iterate upon string, list, tuple, set, dictionary, and range. These are the data types we can iterate upon, right? So currently we cannot extend this, but I can extend 50, 30, which is a list. So when I'm extending this list, elements from inside this iterator will be added to the list. Observe this. After 10, 20, I'm getting 50, 30 because elements from inside the list are added. Now in SQL, what is the iterator? The iterator is a string. So elements from inside the string, as in individual characters, are added. Then 5, high, and 7, that is a tuple. So elements from inside the tuple are added. Then 11 and 12, now this is a set. So the elements from inside the set are added. Name colon Rishabh. So when we extend a dictionary, only the keys are added, right? Because it is the dictionary property that only allows to iterate on the dictionary by default by keys. Now we can also extend range. So what are the elements over here? They would be 50, 51, 52, and 53. So guys, these are the elements that we can add using the extend function. Now having let's say understood each of these functions, now let's understand let's say how to populate an empty list. Suppose over here I'm considering a list called W. This is an empty list. Now I want to fill this with all the elements starting from, let's say, generate an empty list, let's say, and let's say populate a list with elements ranging from 10 to 20. So how to do this? So for I in range 10 to 21, all right, and then W dot append I, and then I can print W. W is an empty list. I'm iterating over this range. So what does this range imply? Start is 10, end is 21, and what is the step size? The step size that we have over here is +1. And when I'm appending I, so each and every element 10, 11, 12 all the way up to 20 is added. So this is how we can populate an empty list. And list has two more properties, such as list can be concatenated with the plus operator, and list elements can be repeated, or let's say repeated to be frank, with the star operator, right? Or duplicated with the star operator. So let's understand this. So over here we have R1 and R2. These are the two lists. अगर हमें इन्हें concatenate करना है, right? Concatenate means placing elements adjacent to each other, especially when it comes to strings, list, and even tuples. So we have 5, 7. 5, 7 में हमने यहाँ पे क्या ऐड किया है? R2 plus R1. So 10, 12, 15, 17 के बाद we can see that 5 and 7 has been concatenated in the list. So this is the concatenated list. All right. Next, if I were to, let's say, duplicate or replicate the elements in this list n number of times, so this is where we can use the multiplication operator. So over here I'm using 10, 20 and then multiplying it with 3. So as we can see, 10, 20 is repeated 3 times, right? Maybe if I wish to multiply it 5 times, so the 10 comma 20 once, twice, thrice, the fourth time, and the fifth time. So guys, this is how we can utilize list functions, list properties, and list characteristics. So guys, let's switch to the PPT again. So guys, in this session, we have understood the different list properties. We have understood what are the different list functions that we have, and we have seen how to utilize the list effectively in Python. Now, in the next session, we shall be discussing list comprehension. Thank you.